Easy, how are we?
Johnny, I'm doing good.
You're
I'm doing good.
that did your tone change? You felt like you're full of energy starting the podcast. I'm doing good, and then you actually thought about it and you're like, yeah, I'm fine.
Well, I seen your fucking run today, and that put me in foul humor because you're absolutely speeding around the place. You were at Nace 10 mile.
Yeah, it felt good. It felt good. So last week, I didn't even say in the podcast. I was in an awful way last week in the podcast. I felt like crap after that long run. You know when they say you never regret a run? Well, I regretted that run last week. One, confidence through the floor after it. Two, I was just I just felt like crap before going out in that weather and then doing all that. Like I was bad for 2, 3 days, didn't run at all. So I was like, I need to do something. So sign up Nace 10 mile just to see if I keep tempo going and just see what kind of pace I was at. If I thought I could hold a 4:45, maybe a 5 is on 2 weeks time Barcelona, and then I got like a 4:33 pace. I'm like, kind of have to go for it now. And the usual, if I die, I die out there. Like I did this last year in October. I never learned my lesson in this, and I got the halfway mark at a sub 5 minute kilometer, and I was like, oh, well, I'm gonna suffer for this next half, and I did like a 2:15 second half to a 1:45 first half, but to me. Uh, I just don't like playing it safe on these races. Like if I got a 350 or a 355 marathon, it's just like, oh, I did a marathon, great. And obviously the weekend's gonna be great with everything going on and all the stuff you got planned with any given run day. But go for it. You know what I mean? If you think it might be there and it's not, and you fail, so what? At least you went for it. Is my thought process. And now with today's race being done, dusted. It might be there. It's a flatter course than Dublin. It could be better weather in Dublin. That could be good or bad if it's too hot. But like if I suffer halfway through again and I have to walk run for the rest of it, it ain't my first rodeo. It happens. And that's
Yeah,
probably not good advice, by the way. But that's just how
no,
I treat
probably not. But it
it.
just is what it is. Like stark contrast and confidence. Like I haven't ran on a road. I don't know how long. The treadmills, the shins. Did a few shin testers last Friday, so it kind of determined that the long run is just not going to happen for me. The
Oh,
2.5 hours on the treadmill is just not going to happen. So I did a 10K today, and that was good. So I think I just need to do a 10K
survive.
pretty much every day for the next 10 days, and just kind of just keep myself at least confident for the first 10. But like since I've started training, since I got here the last 8 weeks or so, I've lost nearly a kilo a week. I'm down to 92 kilos. So, that has to make a difference on the start line, hopefully.
Mhm.
And then it's going to be 13 degrees colder, 14 degrees. Well, actually, much more. Like,
Yep.
at 6 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the morning, it'll be 13 to 14 degrees colder. So hopefully that will give me something that I don't know. So it's bizarre for me. For all I know, I've got 10K and then see what happens. But look, we've been there before. And for me, the scare factor is the knowing what's in store. But then I suppose the reality for me is look, just think about the first 10K. Everything else is going to happen. Time is definite. Time is going to happen.
Yeah.
Trying it around injury free. But like you said, for me, there's a time in my head that at this stage and at this fitness, I'm like, come on, man, try and get that at least. There's this minimum standard that I'm like, come on, you can definitely do it. But it's so like I can't run with the temperatures and it's indoors, there's no fans. I can't run faster than like a 6:20 on the treadmill. Or else
Right.
it's like 10K best effort. It really changes the game big time. So I'm like, what is it like to run at a 5 minute pace these days? Like I just can't get my head around how
a
different it
positive
is. But
a positive spin on it is you're acclimatizing to the heat. I
oh
got a couple of
yeah.
messages from Anto on that one that he tells like you should start trying to acclimatize yourself over the next couple of weeks to how warm it gets. I'm like, Eric's been doing that for the last what, 12 months
Yeah.
to build to this.
Like people are saying, oh, what if it gets to like 17, 18 degrees? I'm going to have a jumper on. It's going to be freezing. 36 degrees here today and 95% humidity. Like you walk out and you're just dripping. And then you go in and you do it on a treadmill. I was like, man. But look, it's in itself. This is the first time I'm going to go from really hot to cold to just see like what was the effects of that training, those 10Ks, and what did it mean for me? And I could end up having a great day, but it's probably the most nervous I've been for a marathon since our second one, I'd say.
Right.
Just because there's just so many. Well, I know there's 42.2K. I know what that feels like, but in terms of me, it's so unknown. Like my pace is, I'm going to start at a pace and then just see what way the body responds to it. And then if it works like you, I'm just going to lock it in and hold on for dear life. And that's the way to do it. And yeah, we'll get by. But look, foundation for a year. It's a spring marathon, and there's a lot of goals I'm starting to set my eyes on. And so for me, it's the fun element is probably what I'm looking forward to. So I just need to be in a good enough shape that I can still lead 42 people around Barcelona afterwards. So but yeah, it's exciting. We're 2 weeks to go today, and great to see you running so fast and so many people putting in a good 10 mile. It's a great event. But again, it really does add the pressure. Strava as well. I fucking hate Strava now.
Well, I'll put you at ease a little bit. I'm feeling a bit nervous for Barcelona for different reasons, and this came to light a lot today when you're doing different runs everywhere, and you get around and something and things like that, and people are knowing you more and more. There's no way of putting this. I'm a moaner.
Yeah.
When I run, I'm a moaner. So what clarify what I mean is I be running and it's almost like, and no disrespect to anyone that has it, it's almost like I've got Tourette's and I'm just like, keep going. I look at the watch and I just like looking at it like 161. I just read out the beat per minute. And like I caught myself a few times. When I get to that pace where I'm hitting like higher thresholds and stuff, and not like I felt strong at the end, like I was fast at the end, like we talked before you ended the podcast. Like I dropped down to a 420 or 435 or something, down to near 420 for my last kilometer. I'm not too sure, but I was getting faster for my last 2 or 3. But I moaned a lot more during my last 2, 3 as well. And when you have a t-shirt, you hit the whole hey Shawnee and stuff, and you're like, and I'm not even. I'm not as bad as I sound. It is like Serena Williams doing a little a lob, and she puts everything to say it, and you just see this little tap going across. That's how I am doing this kind of t-shirt. And now that it's out, I know I'm getting a ton of views for it. But we got 40 people coming over the podcast in a couple of weeks, coming over to Barcelona, and one of them are going to say it to me, so I'm preempting it. I'm doing an M&M on it. I'm a moaner. What are you? I'll list all my faults in the podcast right here and now. And that's up there. Even the people I'm training with. So I'm doing a couple of high rock stimulations with Roisin, who I work with in ABC Clane. And she's training for Glasgow in a couple of weeks. And so we're doing an exercise and stuff. And then we're doing like laps around. And like we're beside her for laps. And I do what I can while she does the same. But every now and again on the ski or even on the run, I'm like, and I'm like, Seán, shut up. Shut up. And it just comes out and I try so
I
hard.
I want to know who pointed this out to you.
She said it, Roisin said it before we had a 5K PB attempt. She was like, Seán, it was kilometer 1. I thought you were dead. Like I was eventually. And then just a couple of times today where someone's like, I noticed one of the people like, Shawnee. I was like, soon before that. And I catch up with people and I just caught myself going, and I think the problem is I have trained and I ran too much by myself that I don't know I'm doing it. So even if I'm in the gym and I'm training in the corner, I'm doing obviously bicep curls. What else am I doing? And one or two, I'm like, I'm just trying to catch it and bring it back in before I go too loud on it. So I'm a little bit worried about that.
I definitely don't have that problem, but it's going to be nice to be surrounded by other runners and actually see people for a while. So yeah, no, it's going to be good. It's something to look forward to, and it's one of the many great events, and hopefully we'll look at new marathons in the new year and try and keep the tradition going. But there are so many more good events that happen around the country. Some we only find out through having a podcast, to be honest, and it's absolutely brilliant. But this week was no other.
Yeah, I mean, this week is a prime example of events that I did not know before until I did my research on different things going on. I'd heard about 1 or 2 things we talk about. The Donegal Ultra 555 comes up in this conversation, but there's some, admittedly, I don't know too much with cycling world in terms of like A4 to A3 rankings and stuff we get taught in the podcast. And the Rás cycle, I didn't know what that was. And then I realized, oh, this is a big thing. I probably should have known before about it. So from that perspective, it's a really interesting podcast, a really interesting guest who's done phenomenal running, triathlons, and so many events that our next guest has done is just bananas, including ones he's organising, such as upcoming the Paddy's Day, a 1 mile race with elites. And when you hear him talk about the podcast, me and you were like, I know we're in Barcelona, but we need to watch to see how this race unfolds. It just sounds absolutely epic.
Yeah, it really does. And look, it's a great story from someone who has a similar background to most who probably listen, from turning their lives around and running. And I suppose the best bet now is to just let the podcast do the talking and let you enjoy the journey.
And with that said, it's this week's episode of the Any Given Run Day podcast. Let's go. So this week on the Any Given Run Day podcast is a triathlon and fitness coach with an impressive endurance resume in the cycling world. With 3 Rás finishes, he also is the second Irishman Everesting and the previous winner of the race. Seán McFadden, welcome to this week's episode of the Any Given Run Day podcast. How are you getting on?
All good, boys. Thank you for having me on. I'm delighted to be here, to be fair. And haven't done one now of these calibers in a long time, or ever, actually. So I'm excited when I got the call.
You've set the bar pretty high, if I don't say so myself, Seán. It's no, look, it's great to have you on. And you are a man who has a lot of experience in sport in general. And from looking and getting to know and looking into the background of you, a vast knowledge and a vast experience. You've been involved with so many great people. But what we always love to know and how we always love to start is, where did sport start for you? How did you get so involved and find that passion and the love for sport that you still have today?
That's a long story, to be fair. Like I didn't do sport when I was a young guy at all. Never did anything. I played a bit of football in nets for the local club down here called the Old Town, you know. But in my later life, I suppose, you know, left school early, didn't get much education, and straight into work, into the building trade and all that kind of stuff, and set a pathway then. And I suppose I was earning money and started going out. And then, you know yourself, is when you're going out and you're drinking and a few beers and the late night 4 entrances from the Letterkenny local tuck shops, you start getting on a bit of weight. And then, you know, you're thinking, how am I going to get rid of this, you know? So I suppose it started from there. And then we had a local leisure centre, and there was a sauna and a steam room up there. So every Sunday morning after the Saturday night, you'd be in there trying to sweat out all the bad stuff, as you know. And there was 2 old men there, and there's I suppose I called them 2 old men, 2 old football coaches and a neighbour. They were there, and they were training for a half marathon in Lisbon. And they said to me, Seán, what are you doing? Hope you're keeping out of trouble. Yeah, keeping out of trouble. You know yourself, I'm trying to keep out of trouble and all this kind of stuff. So they said they were going to run this half marathon, and I had to say, what is a half marathon, or how many kilometres is that, or whatever it was. And Peter responded, it's 22 kilometres, Seán. And I thought, fuck, and I'll never run 22 kilometres ever. You know, I could hardly walk a kilometre and then run 22. So it started from there, you know. Peter set the seed in my head. And it went really from there. And then I started to, you know, back to the leisure centre and back to the swimming pool. And I met a very good friend of mine for years now. I'm sure you've heard of Gary Crossan. I'm going to say Gary's 10 or 12 time national marathon champion. He worked in the leisure centre, and Gary's from Letterkenny, and I met Gary as well, and Gary was keeping an eye on me, and I was asking Gary for a few tips, you know, 22 kilometres, where would you start and all this kind of stuff. It kind of started from there, you know.
When you look back, I suppose people always look at the end product, and we always find as well, people say, I'm not running with you. You ran a marathon. I'm not running with you. You run too fast. What was it like? Because we can talk about your accomplishments and all the great things you've done, but that first feeling, no one ever forgets that first feeling of accomplishment. What was it like to take yourself from that barely crossing the road to 21.2 kilometers?
Winter training? You need Ultra Pure Laboratories Winter Green Heat Rope Cream.
Recommended by physios, trusted by athletes, and tried and tested by ourselves, this is an essential warming muscle rub for cold winter days.
Ultra Pure Wintergreen Heat Rub Cream is perfect for warming up muscles before exercise.
And ideal for soothing tired muscles, which, let's face it, marathon training, we could definitely do with that.
If you're concerned about the ingredients, it contains wintergreen oil, rosemary camphor oil, juniper berry oil, and antioxidant-rich caffeine powder. Seán has no idea what any of these means, but he knows that they work.
It keeps me warm too. Apply Ultra Pure Laboratories Wintergreen Heat Rub Cream liberally on problem areas such as the legs, arms, back, neck, and shoulders, and massage as well. Boy, rinse hands well with cool water after use. I have made that mistake. It is not fun.
Guaranteed Irish and made in County Mayo, Ultra Pure Wintergreen Heat Rub Cream is available in pharmacies and health stores nationwide. Shop the Ultra Pure Muscle Recovery range in-store or online and find out more at ultrapurelabs.ie. By listening to this advert, you are supporting Irish podcasts and Irish businesses. Let's get back to the podcast.
Well, it was a massive achievement for me because, I didn't do sport at a young age. So then from there, before I went to 22 kilometres, there was a local 5K. And funny you say that, a friend of mine asked me the last day, how did he get to meet Seán McFadden? And he was my best man at my wedding, Kieran O'Donnell, and they call him Duck O'Donnell. So Kieran took this photograph of me, and I was lying up against the wall like this, right? And I had like curtains at this time. I was only young, I had curtains down here. I had a pair of football shorts on me and a Liverpool top, and I was up against the wall like this. But what was behind me was there was a flower. So the caption went to the local paper, and it was called Flower Power. And I was like this, and I was on my hands and knees. Like, it took me 25 minutes to run that first 5K. That first 5K, it was 25 minutes. And I kind of went from there. I kind of developed, Kieran then said to me, do you want to join the local athletic club? And I thought, no, man, I'm not joining no athletic club. I'm not into this. I'm only here for a bit of crack, And I went from there. So Kieran then gave me the form. I joined the athletic club, met all the people in it, all the good people, and I was pushing the bad people aside, the people you were drinking with, and I was putting the new people in. And I went from there and back to the pool again, back to training, back up to the leisure centre, and I was doing a couple of kilometres here and a couple of kilometres there, and I'll never forget it. I was with 3 weeks out before the Lisbon half marathon, and I met Peter and Seamus again, and they said, "Will you go to the half marathon?" I said, "Peter, I'm up to 9K now." I said, "Give me another a week or 10 days, and I'll see how I get on." And I went, and I ran the Lisbon half marathon. It took me an hour and 50 minutes. And I couldn't walk for like 2 weeks after it. Like, I was I'll tell you, I could see, that boy on Instagram, the boy does all this blogging, the boy with the baldy head. You ever see him? No? He came in and he asked
like
the boss
Seán.
man. The boss man said, "Have you seen him?" No, Eric, no.
No.
He comes in and he's walking into the building site, and he's like walking like John Wayne. The boss man says,
Oh, Rory Stories
yes.
we talking about, is it?
Rory Stories.
Yeah. So let you know.
I've beaten him before. I was like, God, the Lisbon was on the Sunday, and on the Monday, man, I was walking on the building site like him. I couldn't that's what it was. So it was pretty cool, to be fair. When you see things like that, man, I've been like that. I don't know. He's pretty cool, to be fair. But it went from there. That was my ambitions, and from there developed. I was just hooked on it. Then I literally fell head over heels with running, fitness, trying to lose weight. Joined the athletic club, and then I was just setting targets. And then I suppose Gary Crossan at that stage was my idol, because Gary was winning national marathon titles. He was running 14:10 or 14 some minutes for 5K. He was national 10K champion. He was like something that you wanted to be,
Yeah.
And we went from there. I joined the athletic club, met some great people, Marcus McClintock, John Daly, friends for life. And it's funny, sport to me is something else. Like, I know it's education, but I think if you've got sport, you'll go far in life. Like, and that's where I went, because as I said, I left school when I was 13. I was in the building trade, knew nothing else but work. But when I found sport, man, it was like incredible. It was just like a different, I don't know, different between night and day for me. It was, so, I wouldn't change it for the world now. Like, I mean, I've met so many good people. So many people's helped me. Even my lovely wife, I've met her through sport, and that probably never would have happened only through sport. And what it does, what doors it has opened, and I couldn't recommend it to people that is not into sport and think, oh, it's not for me. Have a go at it. Running, swimming, cycling, whatever it may be, if it's basketball or whatever it may be, go for it. That's all I could say, And after that, my career I wouldn't say career, but my, sporting career, and I just went from there, and I was just ticking the boxes one by one. And everybody that somebody said, well, you can't do that, Seán, because you wouldn't be able to do it, that made me more the determined person I am. I wanted to do it, and it just went from there.
Along this timeline, Seán, because you're talking about doing a 25-minute plus 5K and your half marathon 150, and I'm looking down at figures in front of me of what you got to. You 5K, 16 minutes and 15 seconds. That's a hell of a jump. What's the timeline going from 5Ks in 25 plus minutes to that 16-minute? Was it just you fell in love and a couple of years later you're getting there, or like what does that timeline look like?
Yeah, it was just like that. Like, it was 25 minutes, and then, the barrier was 20 minutes, and then it was like 18 minutes, and then the barrier was like to break 16 minutes. That was in running terms, you break 16 and, breaking 35 for 10, and then all that up. But the time limit, I didn't really put a time on it at the time, it probably took me 3 or 4 years to get that, but you don't realize the time's ticking away over the years, because you're going out to beat your time every single time, and then you're getting competitive, and then you're thinking, geez, maybe if I can make the top 10 in this race, that's pretty good, or in the top 5, and then you're actually trying to win the race. And it just developed over that period of time. But I didn't start sport until I was 24. What am I now? I'm 48. I'm 49 my next birthday, you know what I mean? So, I literally didn't start running until I was 24 years of age.
So you're getting really good at the running, obviously, these times there. Where does the cycling come into it? What made you get on the bike?
Long story. Back to my training partners. We had a local cycle called, it was for cancer. It was from Sligo to Letterkenny. Every year we raised money for a friend of mine, Paddy the Lap. Man, I think they've raised over 1 million or maybe 2 million over the years. And this was going on forever and ever. Not sure if you heard of the name called Joe Barr. Ultra cyclist. Joe Barr's done race across America, race Ram. He's done everything. But there was a local cycle from Sligo to Letterkenny, and every year we used to go and watch it. And Joe Barr was always winning the race. It was a charity event, but you know yourself, when the gun goes, there's no such charity. Everybody's trying to each other.
Charity.
Charity exactly like that. So the following year, a friend of mine's mother took the Big C, and we wanted to raise money, and we said that we would cycle from Sligo to Letterkenny, we'd get off the bike, and we'd run the Northwest 10K for charity. That was it. I started cycling, and that year, and then the following year we did it again, and then thought, geez, I'm enjoying this bit of cycling. Maybe I might do a triathlon or something like that. And that's kind of where it went, went from there. Man, it's like crazy. Like myself and Gary Crossan and Damien McIntyre. We went to Lisburn. I had an old Jetta, tow bar, and an old trailer, and we fired the 4 bikes in there, and we drove to Lisburn. And by the time we got there, the bikes had bounced about everywhere. They were all scraped. They were like wrecked. They were like farmers landed into Lisburn with a big trailer on for a triathlon, But no, it went from there. I started doing triathlons after that, and then the Sligo to Letterkenny got very competitive over the years. And I kind of won that one year. We kind of started cycling then with a local club, Four Master Cycling Club. And yeah, it's one of them things, cycling for me come a lot easier than the running. I used to have to work so hard in running. But when I started training on the bike was just coming so much easier. I just had that natural power or natural instinct of racing a bike, and I was getting very attached to the cycling then. But, The running was always, you always fell back to the running. You know, I always loved, running was my first love. You know what I mean? I loved running and I loved racing, but I was always falling back to the running. And then I suppose, you know, we kicked on from there, and we started doing a few Ironman, and then we kicked on from there, and then we went to riding the Rás and stuff like that. So it's a long old process, but we kind of enjoyed it. You know, it was like Philip Dagenham was our idol in for the cycling, and you know, we were chatting about it, about being able to do the Rás, and us too tough, can't do that. So we kind of put it on a back burner for a while, and then we were thinking about it, were we able to do it, and then somebody told us that we were like, it was something like 13 or 14 years since there was a team in the Rás, and we thought, geez, we could have a go at that, you know. So yeah.
Seán, I'm going to be bluntly honest with you on this one. I read your introduction. If I read that earlier today before doing my notes in this podcast, I don't know what I'm talking about. So I did not know what Rás was. I wasn't too sure how to pronounce it because it's an Irish word, or a fada S. And I was like, I better learn how to pronounce this. I went on YouTube and I saw this video from like 1987, and it's like a 20-minute thing, looks like an RTE. And they're talking about the race up in your part of the country.
Yeah.
And we're talking about more gap when I get to the second thing you've done. But just for the people listening and for myself, I know it's a stage race, but what exactly is Rás? Looking to recover faster, train harder, and perform better?
And then what?
Perform Nutrition is one of Ireland's leading sports nutrition brands with a number of great tasting protein powders, a range of vitamins, as well as other supplements such as creatine. All products are made in the GMP facility in the west of Ireland, and they have a range of batch tested and informed sports certified products. Perform is trusted by a number of Olympians, High Rocks champions such as Seán Noble, he was in the podcast.
Yeah, right, he was.
Also CrossFit Games athletes such as Emma McQuaid and many more. Perform's goal is to offer the highest quality, best tasting nutrition products for competitive prices, and now you can get an extra 25% off all products with the code AGR on their website, performnutrition.com.
25%? I'm typing it in now. And don't forget, we are supporting Irish companies. You are supporting this podcast by listening to this advert. So support Irish, get behind your podcast, and get behind your local businesses. And until then, let's get back to the podcast.
Rás is a famous bike race. It was called the Milk Rás back years ago. The Sean Kellys, the Eddie Dunbars, the Sam Bennetts, the best that we have. That's where it come from. Carrick and Sure, all them top riders. And it used to be a 7-day stage race, and now they've cut it to 5 days. But it was the best of the best. There was teams from Norway, there were teams from Germany, and these boys were like borderline pros. You know what I mean? Where we were. And farmers, you know what I mean? Like we worked every day. Farmers, whatever you want to call it, you know what I mean? And that was it. So it was it was brutal. There was no other word for it. There's no tougher thing than the Rás. Honest to God, it was the creme of the creme. And it was, when I go to the grave, I'll be taking that medal with me. I'll not take medal. I'll not take many, but I'm taking that one.
What does it take, Seán, to get ready? Like, obviously, we've heard your story and one thing led to the next, but taking on something like that, it's big. As cycling goes, it's big. What does it take to get ready for something like that?
Man, it takes blood, sweat, and tears. There's no doubt about it. It takes time. You need like 30 hours a week on the bike. You need to have good structure. You need to have everything needs to be in place. You know, everything. You know, it's not that easy to rock up, like, you know, to ride the Rás. Like, you start off as a bike rider, you start off as an A4, and then you go to an A3, and then you go to an A2, and then you go to A1. And to get to an A1, and people will know what I'm talking about, like cycling terms, it's, you know, to get that transition, to get to an A1, you need to be not somebody special, but I don't know how to say it. Like, you know what I mean? I know a lot of boys have tried to do it, and just can't get there. You know, it's just so hard. The standard is so hard, you know, with cycling, and it's getting harder. I think back in my day, I think it might have been a slightly bit easier, but even that, you know, bikes have changed, aero things have changed. Everything's changed. So it's got faster, but I think it's got tougher as well. Kind of way. So it's to get. We were putting in a lot of hours, a lot of hours. We had a couple of teams in it over the years, and so I did 3 Rosses, and I'm proud of them. And I mean, to have the likes of Sam Bennett and Eddie Dunbar and Ronan McLaughlin and all these big names line up beside you in the Ross, and you're looking across and you're thinking, "What am I doing here? What are you doing?" But you just get on with it, and yeah, it was a big achievement to ride the Ross. It was definitely, because the names that have read that, and to me, when you're a runner, people will say, have you run a marathon? Triathlons, have you done an Ironman? Bike rider, have you done the Ross? That's to me, that's what I like about me. If somebody says to me, whatever sport have you done? I've done it. Yeah, I've ticked that box. I've ticked that box. Tick that box.
How much does it take out of you at the end of it? Because I saw you did it, and I could be wrong on the dates. You did it like in 2012, and they did it again in 2021. And then when you did it, it was like, I am done. That is it. Like, and sometimes someone runs a race, go, I'm done. But the way you're talking there, it sounds like you were like absolutely done. Is that the training leading up that it's so many hours, or is it just how the body feels during and after that race that you go, you know what, 3 times is definitely enough for me?
No, it's just the training for it's not too bad. It was just during the last one. It was in Donegal, and the amount of climbing that we had to do. And I knew the road to Donegal really well. Like it was brutal, absolutely brutal the last time. And that to me was the end of it, because the amount of climbing, the amount of effort that you had to put in, you needed to be full time. And the people that's doing it now are nearly all full time. Where back 10 years ago, it was all good county riders. We had the best of the counties, and then there was a couple of teams pulled into it, so it wasn't too bad. Where now, all the big teams are on the front. They're driving at 50 kilometers an hour. We're sitting at the back, and you're sitting in the line out like that there, and you're just, when is this going to end? Like, when is this going to end? So yeah.
That video I saw, it was the 87 video. It's insane, because like the race director, he's standing on the passenger seat, and he's like, his head's out the window talking to a cameraman, and he's going up to talking to different bike riders, and it's over 20 minutes. Just seeing the stuff from the 80s is class. But they build it up to Memorial Gap at the end of it, and you want to see the cyclists, obviously, struggling the windy hills going up. I've never actually seen them. I've never been that part of the country. I need to get there. And just seeing them absolutely struggle trying to get to the top of this thing is the crescendo of the video. And then I read, you did this 76 times for Everesting. Never heard of Everesting. What is that? And how the hell do you do that like 76 times in... I don't have a time in front of me, but it wasn't like 76 times over days or months even. We're talking hours. What's going on?
It's a how can I say it? Well, sports. It's not a competition, but it is a competition. You have to climb Everest. You climb Everest on a bike, so you have to find somewhere that you climb 9,400 and so many meters on a bike. So you have to find a climb that's whatever is suitable for you. We're very lucky here in Donegal. We've got Memorial Gap. We're very lucky that we've got the world record holder in Donegal, Ronan McLaughlin. You've never heard of Ronan McLaughlin? He's an absolute animal of a man. I cherish the man to the backbone. He's just unbelievable. So he set the record. He set the standard, and it's like everything else here in Donegal. If Ronan does it, everybody else wants to do it. Or if Philip Dagenham's on it, everybody else wants to do it. So that's the way it was. And I know Ronan really well. I have a very good time for him. Unfortunately, he didn't want to stage the Rás. He should have won a stage of the Rás. He was caught with 150 meters to go. But anyway, he has set the record, and yeah, it's 76 times, 114 meters of elevation, and you just literally have to go up and down, up and down, up and down all day until you get to the height of Everest.
The height of Everest. How long did it take, Seán? And how do you manage the bike? Because climbing, anyone who's cycled or given cycling a go or has come from any kind of base level, if you hit any hill, everything hurts. the lower back hurts, the legs hurt, the lungs hurt.
Yeah.
How do you do that 76 times?
See, I think it's just a mind thing. It's mind over matter. These targets are there, and you think, well, if Ronan can do it, or Alberto Conte can do it, or whoever's doing it, you think it's doable. These challenges are set because they are doable, and people take them on. And that day I was there. I was very lucky. I had my whole family was there. My son was there. My daughter was there. A very good friend was there, and we just went at it. And to be fair, it was a really good day. It wasn't the day that I wanted, because what you're really looking for is a bit of a tailwind to blow you up the climb, and then freewheel down. Where the day I was there, it was like in 20 degrees. It was very hot, and I'll never forget it, man. I was on like maybe 56 times or something, maybe 60 times. I thought, after this one, I'm going to take 20-minute break and then have a bit of a sandwich and chill out and everything else. Fucking hell, this car pulled up beside me and window it down. Who was it but himself, Ronan McLaughlin? I thought, fuck's sake. I can't stop now. I have to keep going. I had to keep going. So I kept going, and fair play to Ronan, who stayed there the whole day until it was finished. And to be fair, like I wasn't too bad. It's just counting them down, 60 times and then 65, and then you're going up and up. And once you get over that barrier, you think, okay, 16 more times or 10 more times, and you're there. Then I suppose the first 30 or 40 is the mind and hard. You just kind of have to get over that there. And once you get that over you're. And and the thing about social media now, if you tell somebody you're going to do it, you can have to do it, because if you don't do it now, you're a failure. That kind of. Yeah. So what I knew I was going, I posted it on my Instagram page that I was going to take it on, and then sure, yourself, one car would land, and those 2 cars landed, and then those 3 cars landed, and before that, like, there was a pile of people there, and there was no stopping them. Like, I don't like to fail.
Seán, just for context, time wise, how long up and how long down? What kind of circuits are we looking at time wise that you were taking on for a lap? I suppose a 76.
Well, for me, it was probably taking me in around 8 or 9 minutes to go up, and to come down was taking like 60, 70 seconds, because it's literally straight down. Where Ronan set the world record on it, he done it. Yeah, he done it in like 6:41. So Ronan was going up in like 5.5 minutes a lap, and he was coming down at 100 kilometers an hour every single time. Like, he was like,
oh my God.
He's mental, he was crazy stuff. Like, and to be fair, one of the times he got a blowout on the way down. Now, he did well to hold on to it, but I think still I'm the second fastest Irishman. Ronan's the first Irishman. I'm the second fastest Irishman. My time was 10:15 or something, where Ronan was 4 hours faster than me. He was like 6:40 or something. Like, you know what I mean?
Wow.
But he had he's a climber. He's like, Ronan's gone to the World Championships.
Mountain goat on a bike.
He's just a mountain goat on a bike. So yeah, it was one of them boxes that you want to tick. It was in around that COVID time, and different things were going on, and people weren't able to train, and people were doing it on an indoor trainer, where I hate the indoor trainer. I would rather be out lashing rain, wind and rain, everything going. I hate sitting on the turbo. So there was a lot of people doing it on the turbo, and then there was a lot of people doing it all over the world. But man, if you want to set a record, Memorial Gap's the only place for it, because it's the thing about Memorial Gap is it's straight up, and it's about getting as fast as you can back to the start again before you start again. And more was like, bang, you were down in like 40 seconds. So yeah, that was it. Got that box ticked, and I was happy to get it done. I'll not be back again, I'll tell you that.
And when we look at, I suppose, the triathlon side of things, obviously you spent a bit of time in the leisure centre. Swimming became part of sport naturally for you, through the sauna, the steam room, the swim, the run. The transition into, obviously, for me, learning how to swim as an adult is a very difficult thing to do. How did you take so well to the water? Or again, is it consistency? Because a lot of people will say, "How I can't do triathlon because I don't know how to swim. I won't take it on," and this, that, and the other. What were the challenges you over? Like, this is amazing. We're going from climbing Everest to how did you learn how to swim? Like, you've done so much. It seems bizarre to bring you back, but again, I want to touch on the
You're right,
triathlon
no.
side.
It was the same thing, Gary crossing back to the old leisure centre, and 2 lengths of the swimming pool, all I could do, literally as tight as I could get to the wall, just in case I had to stop. Like, couldn't swim at all. Head out of the water, like thought I was drowning. And Gary was there saying, "Oh, you need to get your head in and do these wee small tips." And 2 lengths went to 4 lengths, and 4 lengths went to 6 lengths, and then 6 went to 12, and just kept at it. It was consistent. I'm just the kind of person, like, if there's a will, there's a way. If I can't fix it, somebody else can fix it. Or if I can't do it, I can get somebody else to fix it. That kind of way. And I thought to myself, I'll get this done, and I'll get there. And there was no talk about it doing an Ironman or anything. It was there was a sprint triathlon come up in Lisbon, as I told you, with the Jetta and the bikes in the back of the trailer, and it was 750 meter swim, and swimming times now, you're chatting maybe 11 minutes. That was 17 and a half minutes for the swim. I was probably the last out of the water, hit the bike, not too bad, and then hit the run. But at that stage, it was only a bit of fun. That was a bit of fun, bit of crack, just to get a triathlon done. And then I suppose from there, that developed, and we joined the triathlon club we didn't have a triathlon club in Donegal at the time, so we joined the Northwest Triathlon Club in Derry. And from there, we set up our own triathlon club called 24/7. 247, as I call myself. Everything I make, everything's 247, 24/7. So we started our own triathlon club, and we went from a couple of members to maybe 200 members there for quite a few years. And as then when you're doing triathlons, then you do the sprint triathlon, 750 swim and 20k bike and a 5k run, and then you want to go to the Olympic distance. Got a bit more challenging then once you were going to open water swimming. I was a bit more nervous than that there. Wasn't too keen on it. Very lucky here. We have a small lake out in Garton out there, and we've done a lot of practicing out there. There's a couple of wee pontoons that you could tip about to, Kind of went from there, done the Olympic, and then wanted to do 70.3. And then want to do 70.3, you want to do an Ironman. That's it.
That's what led you to Dubai.
And that's what led us to Dubai. Dubai was, I don't know, man. We kind of come over by accident, to be fair. My wife Irene has travelled the world. She's lived in Seville, she's lived in Madrid, and she's fluent in Spanish and everything else. So I always thought we'd move to Spain, maybe, for my wife's a teacher. And 40th birthday party, I was wondering where could I take her, because she's been everywhere. She's travelled a good bit, I was thinking where could we go or where could I take her. And my mum's sister had a company in Dubai. Now, I didn't know this at the time, and rang my mum and said, looking to take Irene away and trying to go to Dubai. And she goes, "Oh, your auntie's got a place out there, I'll contact her." We went out there for 4 days, and we fell head over heels in love with Dubai. 6 months later, we were living there.
Wow.
6 months later, we were there. Yep. I took a career break from my job. She took a career break from her job. We took the 2 boys out of school, and away we went. And we went for 1 year. That was it. We were only going for 1 year. We ended up staying 5.
What made you fall in love with it?
Oh, man, I can't describe it. It's just unbelievable. The people, the friendliness, the safety, the weather. It's got everything. She's actually on a flight. My wife's on a flight at the minute back to Dubai.
You don't look jealous at all, Seán.
There's some things Eric touched on when he was there for a cup of coffee.
Seán, I want to ask, as someone who's gone through it as well, being so involved in clubs, and there's probably a couple of questions here, I suppose, the importance of clubs for those who think I'm not good enough to join a club and I'm lost, the importance of clubs for people getting involved in sport. And then the second question relating to Dubai is, how did you find it leaving that comfort zone of clubs? Like, I'm going to be honest, I'm away for a year and I have another year to go as well before I'm back. But I'm really envious when I see Seán doing races, because I'm not there to throw heavy objects at him, but not because I want to run them. But it's, but I miss the involvement, even with the podcast, seeing people that know us. We've got T-shirts that, there's a part of me that really misses that environment of being at home and being involved in events. How does someone like you, who was so involved, massively involved, find that
Yeah, true.
separation when you move away?
I don't know, I mean, I suppose it's hard to know, I mean, I suppose Jesus, it's a tough question to ask. I never even actually thought about it. Like, I didn't really miss it when I went to Dubai. I didn't miss home because I actually found nearly home from home. Dubai was very like home to me. All the outdoor sport, everything we have here in Ireland, you probably have it 10 times better in Dubai. Of the facilities and all that kind of stuff. But to moving away, I suppose, back to my friends and stuff like that, and didn't bother me. It's a question I can't probably put my finger on, but because I was so happy in Dubai, like we were so happy, even the 4 days that we were there. Man, when we were on the plane leaving to come home, my wife Ivy said to me, "She's, we're gonna live here," and I looked at her and I said, no chance, no way." Man, little did I know when we were on the plane on the way back, she was like looking for jobs on the plane on the way home. I thought, this is mental. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I didn't miss it at all. Okay, when you come home for the summer, you probably missed a bit of it and, you didn't like going back again. But I didn't have that feeling. I actually miss Dubai more now than I missed home, honestly. Like if somebody said to me in the morning, "Seán, would you go back to Dubai and everything will be kept here, done and dusted, what you were trying to do," and everything, I'll be gone on a heartbeat,
And look, it's having someone that did it. Some of the conversations me and Seán had on my first couple of weeks there where, oh my God, there's 100-kilometer cycle track that a car won't touch you. I can walk outside my door and I won't have checked the weather for 2 weeks. And I know I can go cycling in shorts and I have to bring sun cream. I already know everything that's happening. I've 50-meter swimming pools everywhere. It's facility-wise when you're involved in an outdoor lifestyle. It's probably the same reason people are attracted to the likes of Australia, who invest in sport, who invest in schools and an outdoor lifestyle and sunshine and warmth. As you said, you don't like the turbo trainer. It's not for you. Whereas Dubai offers you that lifestyle of outdoors. You don't have to check the weather. It gives you everything you want and that comfort of being in the outdoor environment.
Oh, it does, surely. Like, I mean, all that goes out the window. As you say, you don't have to check the weather. You've got the 50-meter pools. You've got Kite Beach. You can swim in the sea nearly all year round with no wetsuit, and it was just the safety of it. Like, you know what I mean? Going out at night time, you could leave your phone down on the counter and you might go to the toilet, or you went to a restaurant and you wanted to save your table. You'd put your wallet and your phone on the table and then you'd go and order your food and you come back and it's still there. You don't get that anywhere in the world. Where would you get that? Nowhere. You know what I mean? And for me, if you're into sport, when you go there, like there was so many, like I fell in with a really good bike and cycling team out there. I was working for a company called My Sports Academy, and they were all triathlon based and cycling based and netball based. So everything was there. I didn't even have to think about it. I was doing something that I loved and I was getting paid to do it as well. You know what I mean? I was coaching kids. I was, it was incredible for me, And the facilities, as you know yourself, it's you wouldn't get it. I don't know. You wouldn't get it anywhere in the world. I don't think. The facilities in Dubai and the cost of it too is not that bad. Like you think of going to a swimming pool here. I think it's like €8 or €9 to go to the local leisure centre to go swimming here. You get it over there for 10 dirhams. And 10 dirhams is probably like £4, and you're swimming in a 50-meter pool.
Jeez.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a big difference, all right. But bringing it back home, I suppose, on your right shoulder there, Donegal Ultra, 555 kilometers. So you fairly know Donegal well.
That's for you next year. This year.
I compare that race to like.
You said you didn't come to the county. Well, you can come now.
And of all the things I could have talked about next, I'm regretting this one already. But how difficult is this? Because I've heard about the Wicklow Way 200 being an incredibly difficult race. I only know of other races where it's more of I want to almost say community based, like the Kerry one and stuff like that, the charity cycle. The Donegal Ultra 555. Talk us through what that is and how difficult something like that is.
It's the Donegal Ultra 555. It's 555 kilometers non-stop bike race with 7,000 meters of climbing. And yeah, it's the 10th anniversary this year. We're 10 years on the go, believe it or not, with no breaks.
How many people, I suppose, again, a couple of questions. How do you qualify to at least show up to the start line to this race? Because obviously it's no joke.
It's no joke. Well, it started off as 555 solo only. And then we introduced 2-man teams, 4-man teams, and then 6-man teams. So you can do it with 4 people, you can do it with 2 people, you can do it with 1. But as everybody knows, the challenge is by yourself. Now, you can do it in any shape or form, as I said. A lot of people have raised a lot of money over the last 10 years. I'm going to say we've raised over 500,000 easy for charities, because somebody's doing it for some charity, or there's a team doing it for this charity, or a team doing it for that charity. It's been incredible. But, where it come about was we were doing Race Around Ireland as a 4-man team 1 year, and we loved it. So the following year, we went to enter the team, and we couldn't get a team and sold out. And I contacted a friend of mine, and I said, man, we need to be able to organise something like this in Donegal. I said, and prep for Race Around Ireland, because Race Around Ireland was a 4-man team, and it was 3,200 kilometres at the time. And I said, we need to organise something. And we put our heads together. We jumped into the car one Saturday, myself and Seán, and away we went. And we drove the Inishowen Loop, we drove the Knockalla Loop, and then around the west, and then all around Carrick, Kilcar, and back to Letterkenny. And man, it was just like 555 kilometres to the door. And that's where it started. That was it. So we advertised it, and away we went. We had 22 riders the first year, 22 in total between teams and solos. And it's gone from strength to strength, and went from 22 to, say, 32, and then 52, and now we're up to 100 riders on the road. Now, we used to have a race briefing in the Mount Errigal on the Thursday night, and that used to be amazing. The room was packed with people. We're interviewing people, but then COVID kicked in, and everything was online and everything else. I would love to bring that part of it back again, if I could, because that was a real bonding area for it. And yeah, we went from that. Was it? We went from there, and we're going strong, And man, it's tough. It's tough. It's probably one of the toughest out there. As you know, Connor Dunn from GCN, that global cycling, come to do it. They done a documentary on it. Connor never finished it. Connor read the Vuelta, he read the Giro. He's a quality bike rider, and he didn't finish. Now, I honestly think Connor would have finished it, to be fair. Only they were doing a documentary on it as well, and he was stopping and starting. The man got very, very cold, and it gets cold in the middle of the night in Donegal in August, and he got really, really cold, and the body just wouldn't function from anymore, and he had to pull out, unfortunately. I actually think if Connor come back next week, he'd probably do it, because he is a quality bike rider. But if you watch the GCN videos, they call him the failure, because he hasn't finished any endurance rides. I'm backing him. I know he can do it.
What kind of timeline are you talking about for the average person, not the Seán McFadden, someone a little bit better than the Seán Coffey to do it?
The average, you give him a cutoff time of 36 hours. You know that, do we? You give him an average time of 36 hours, and a lot of people try and break 25 hours, 24 hours, 20 hours. It depends.
Just trying to do the maths in that, I can't. 36 for 555. It's gone.
It's crazy stuff. It is crazy stuff. And then you go back to the Ronan McLaughlin. What is it? Has he done it in 16 and a half, 17 hours, Ronan?
Oh my God, that is phenomenal. And Seán, in terms of support, when you take on a challenge like this, because Seán has done backyard ultras, he's coming back to the same spot, he has his equipment there, he can self-sustain, he can have someone there to help him out through the night when it gets rough. When you're taking on a cycle like this, is it something where you need a crew to back you up? Are there stops along the way, or what way does it work for it? Because a course distance of that is phenomenally big.
Yeah, well, you have to have a crew. For many years, you have to have a crew. Now we do an unsupported category and a supported category. So we have had 3 or 4 boys do it unsupported on their own, not a being with them, stopping, sleeping on the side of the road, getting their fuel from a petrol station, and you do it supported. If you want to go for a fast time, you need support. You need to have a car, flashing lights behind you. If you want to be unsupported, you have to be done some of these events before. You just can't rock up and say, I want to do it unsupported. We have to have a criteria that you've done this kind of stuff before. But you need a crew if you want to have a good time. We're running. A lot of people have crews behind them, And yeah, that's what you do. And then we've introduced there for quite a few years now. We went from a 5-5-5 to a 3-3-3. And now we've got a 2-2-2. So we've got 3 races on one there now. So it's just made it, say, 5-5-5 is tough for a lot of people. If you're, a Sunday rider and you don't like racing a bike, you don't like competing in A4 races, and you want to do something, you're from this area or any area in the country, and you want to come up for the weekend, 2-2-2 is doable, 3-3-3 is doable. So yeah, that's where it's at the minute, So it's going good at the minute, and this is our 10th year, and I keep saying every single year, this is the last year, this is the last year, this is the last year, but we're going for number 10, and we'll take it from there,
And for someone that's in the middle of a run right now, listening to this and goes, "Oh, actually, that 2-2-2 or 3-3-3 sounds interesting." What time of year is it on? And is it open now to get a ticket for that?
It's open. Entries is online there at the minute. If you go onto the 555 website, you'll get it there. And it's on the 11th of August this year. So yeah, it's pretty epic. You start at the Mount Eric Hotel and you finish there. There's a hotel there. Everything starts and finishes in one spot.
I want to talk about other races that you're involved in coming up, but I have to get back to the intro because you are a winner of not only a race, it's called the race, and of course something called the race has to come from Donegal. There's definitely a lot of people, myself included, when I saw that for the first time. What is the race?
The race was called the race.ie. It was an adventure race that a few guys from Dublin started it. Because there was a lot of adventure racing at the time, small adventure races. We had a lot up in Donegal here, War and different ones, and they wanted to make one that nobody could finish. That was the idea of it. And it was like was it June or July? It was like really bad weather, and it was 250 kilometers non-stop. So you started with a half marathon. It was a 15k kayak. It was 5.5 kilometers mountain run, Muckish. We've got 2 mountains in Donegal. One's Errigal and one's Muckish. So you had to run up Muckish, touch the flag, and come back down again. Sorry, I'll rewind. It was 15k kayak, and then it was an 80-kilometer bike to Muckish. And then you had to run up and down Muckish, and then jump on the bike and cycle 100 kilometers to a place called Durhey. And then you had to run a full marathon, off-road, on-road, through the middle of the night, 42 kilometers, and finish back in the garden centre. So there you are.
But before Eric takes over on the questions, navigate, self-navigate, arrows, where to go?
Arrows. It was all arrows. It was all arrows, to be fair. Now, it was well marked and it was good enough that way. But the weather conditions were brutal stuff.
No, I haven't heard that. They definitely deserve to name the race anyway. We'll allow that. That is phenomenal.
It was it was tough. It was tough. And the first year I did it, there was a guy called Bill Wales I think he was from Belgium. He won it. He beat me by 12 minutes. And then the following year I went on to win it. Now, I was lucky the following year. They cancelled the kayak because the water, there was like waves in the Swally. Like, we don't get waves in this. It was like brutal. So instead of the kayak, we had to, instead of running from Garton to Remelton, because that's where the kayak was, we had to run to Rathmullins. We had to run, I think it was like a 36-kilometer run before we had the bike. So then we had to cycle, and then do the Muckish, and then cycle, and then do the run. So that was the year I won it. But it went on to be a great race for years and years and years, and then COVID kicked in, and I'd never come back. It was a great race. It was tough. It was tough. Good race. So.
It's actually so unusual because a lot of races, for whatever reason, because of COVID, they just haven't recovered. Like the Ring of Kerry cycle, we had a great day when we did it. We think it's a great event, but the numbers are dwindling post-COVID, and it's happening to a lot of other races. What has changed to I suppose,
I
people
don't know.
losing interest?
And even the race around Ireland, I think COVID kicked that in too, didn't it? That was a real good race. That was the big one. That went. I don't know. I honestly, it's getting very difficult to organise a race now. Any kind of race, any kind of adventure race at all. I think the safety is coming into big time. I don't know. It's a hard one to call. And even bike racing at the minute, I think the numbers have dropped rapidly. No matter what, even and anything like the 5Ks and the 10Ks and different things, numbers are dropping down. I don't know. There was a big boom after COVID, but I think it's kind of settling down again now. But I don't think anybody wants the hassle of organising races anymore. They don't want I think there's too much red tape in them, to be fair, It's just nobody wants the hassle, or nobody wants to be able to point the finger. Well, somebody, hurts himself. Oh, you're the organizer. I don't know. You know what I mean? That's what I see, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I have never organized a race. I don't know, but what I do know is, mad that we've talked about 555, you talked about 250k adventure races, and the next thing we're going to talk about probably not scares me more, but it's up there, even though the time difference is a lot different. Under 4 minutes for the Michael Murphy Mile next month, St. Paddy's Day. This must be an insane athletes coming up there. There was times where this was world record stuff and people are named. They were knighted after getting under 4 minute miles. What's going on?
Just another one. Well, last year we organised a 3K that was called the Michael Murphy's 3K, because we used to have a 5K on St. Patrick's Day that was pulled as well. So people were looking for another race, and myself, Michael Black, said we would organise a 3K. And then this year we just wanted to add something to it, because it's St. Patrick's morning, the roads are quiet, and we thought let's try and go with a 4 minute mile. And we put our heads together, and we're all systems go. We have about 20 men. So what we're trying to do, what they do in England, it's a handicap race. So women's going to go first. Women's going to depends on their 1500 meter time, and depends on the men's 1500 meter time or mile time. So the women might get about 49 seconds head start, and the men have to chase them down. So it means the women's going to have to run hard, and it means the men's going to have to catch them, because the first person across the line gets €1,000.
Oh,
wow.
So that's the crack. Yeah. So it means not putting pacemakers into the race. So it's giving the women something to go for, and it's giving them to go fast, and it's giving the men something to chase them down, So that's good prize money. It's 1,000 for first person across the line, and then it's 500, 400, 300, 200, 100 in prize money. So
where did 49 seconds come from? Like, sorry, because that's an exact number now. So are you looking at the best of both sides that could be there, or are you looking at world averages on that one? What way does that work?
Well, it'll go on there, it'll go on the girls' best 1500 meter time, and then we'll be able to. My friend of mine, Maria McCambridge, don't know if you heard of Maria. She's 2-time Olympian, married to Gary. She's very good at this, so she's going to do the maths on it. So she's going to get their times. She's going to get the men's times, and then we're going to give them. So we want it as close as we can. We want to favour the women and favour the men. So hopefully, coming down to the finish line,
it's a sprint finish.
That's an exciting 4 minutes.
Yeah. So, and then hopefully the men will get the 4 minute mile. It's going to be tight, but listen, it's the first year. We're excited about it. Because the 3K is first, and there's good prize money in that as well. So the 3K is first, but it's a Michael Murphy 3K/mile, but we're raising money. We're not making money. We're raising money. We're raising money for St. Bernard's School. That's a school that looks after children with a bit of difficulty and blah, blah, blah. So we're raising money for them. So the proceeds of the money, the proceeds of the entries go to them, and then a lot of sponsors on board to put up the prize money to get these guys to run fast and get people here to. It's just Donegal, we're so far away, man. There's no airport here. You're 2 hours from Belfast, and you're 4 hours from Dublin. And, it's very hard to get people to come up unless you're putting up good prize money. So that's what we're going with,
And we're
hopefully we get the 4 minute.
We're driving 4 hours to run 4 minutes. That is
They're-
an amazing
Yeah,
concept,
I know,
but it's
I know.
worth a day out. It's worth a day
Well,
out.
it's
What
worth
a
a day
competition.
out.
I love that idea.
You know.
I love it. And to be honest, for the spectacle, it's hard. It's very hard to watch a marathon. You know, you can only really be in 2 or 3 places, but you can absorb a mile pretty good. You know, you
You can.
you
Yeah.
can follow that pretty much and get involved in the excitement. And are you
No,
expecting
really
many
good crack.
athletes?
Listen, last year we had 160 for the 3K, where this year we'll probably hope for that again. But the mile, we're only letting maybe 20 people in it because, people can run 5 minutes, people can run 5:10. We don't want, not that we don't want that. We want to try and run.
It's a category. Yeah.
It's a category.
It's a qualification
for
based.
next year.
Yeah. 100%.
But then
Yeah.
if it goes well next year, we might put maybe a 5-minute mile in it, and maybe put a 6-minute mile in it. But we didn't want to put too many races in it. We didn't want to take it away from the 3K and take it away from the charity. We want to try and raise as much money we can for the charity, and then have this elite mile and see how it goes from there. As I say, watching Armagh tonight was spectacle. Seeing them boys run fast, there's something about it. It's nice to see people run fast, and I know myself how hard it is to run 5-minute mile, never mind run 4-minute mile. Like when I was running well, if I knew I was in 16-minute shape or 16:10, if you could break 5 minutes for the mile leading into it, you were in good shape, And I know how hard it is to do that. So how hard it is to run sub 4, I don't know. But it's the thing about it is it's spectacles. It's because it's the Michael Murphy 3K, and then there's a young guy from Athlone called Michael Murphy. And it's a bit of history because in 2014, when Michael Murphy, the football player, opened the shop, this young Michael Murphy boy was in the shop looking for a photograph of Michael Murphy. And now he's a big, strong young fella. And he's still looking for another photograph of Michael Murphy. So it's pretty cool to be pretty special,
This
That's
mile
it,
race,
yeah.
I just trying to imagine it. Is it just one long straight on a road, and you could see? Can the men see where the women? Because only 49 seconds, and that, I mean, because they're so fast, that's feck all distance. So they must be able to after 49 seconds, will they be able to see where the women are at to try and?
They will see them. In world athletics, because this year there's a world championships this year for a mile, 5K, 10K, and a half marathon. So we looked at all them specifications, and they are looking for a long straight. They're looking for a bend, and then they're looking for a left-hand turn, and then the finish line. So we have that. So the long straight is probably about 900 meters of a long straight, and then there's a sharp kind of like a left bend around of it, and then you take the left, and then you're down it. So they'll see them. They will see them. So they do it in England quite a bit, like, you know what I mean? So we thought we'd go with it. It's just a bit of crack, and then some good friends, they said they would sponsor a few pound here and sponsor this and sponsor that. So yeah, that's where we come up with the money, the prize money and stuff like that. Like I know me, when I go to do a race, I'd rather a 50 € voucher than a wee bit of crystal, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm a money man. I like
Give me
the
something
money.
for the bike.
Oh, that is phenomenal.
That's
Myself and Eric at a time
We'll
over
send
Barcelona.
we'll send you a t-shirt, Sean. That'll be about it.
That'll do. Turn that away. That's it. When are you back to Dubai?
I am in Mozambique for another 6 weeks. I'm back in Ireland to take on the Barcelona Marathon with our marathon group, who are going to take it on.
Very good.
The same weekend as your race. We land back the day your 4-miler happens, so we'll be watching it with a beer in Barcelona and wishing you all the best on that one. And then I'll spend a week or two in Ireland and then back to Dubai for some respite.
Nice. I wish I was going back.
I'll send you the photos. Don't worry about it, Sean. We'll send you the pictures.
What other races, Sean, around Donegal do you have? Any like apart from the 555 and myself and Eric, we never anywhere near that. Is there any races up that part of the country that you would recommend people to check out? People maybe near there.
Loads. There was a really good race there last year. It was called the Full Monty. That was a good one.
You have to explain that, Sean. You can't just say that and then leave it.
Especially when you have a brain in the gutter like me. What is this one?
It's an adventure race as well. It was called the Full Monty. It was a bike, it was a run, a cycle, a mountain, and all that kind of stuff. But the actual mountain was called Monty, so they called it the Full Monty.
Brilliant.
Absolutely cracking race, you know. So that was a good one. That was a good race. It was a good race, yeah. So that's about it, really, man. That's it. Can't say much more, you know.
Seán, it's been absolutely brilliant having you on. And I've no doubt if we brought up another topic or two of the past and the future and the great people you've met along the way, we could be here for hours more to come.
Oh, no,
How can people...
I'm all ripped down here.
Don't name one, you'll miss them. Seán, how do people keep in touch and keep track of these races and see some of the great things that you're going to do and organise in these races? How can they best find out information on them?
I suppose Instagram and I suppose Facebook for me, you know what I mean? And yeah, that's about it really. The 555 page and the Michael Murphy 3K and mile. And yeah, that's them two at the minute. We'll be organising more. I don't know, man. I'm tired. The body's getting tired. The body's getting tired. Every time I ring somebody, they say, "What are you fucking looking for now? How much do you need?"
You can't just ring anyone and say hello anymore. They know what you're after.
No, doesn't work. We got the work.
Well, look, Seán, we wish you the very best of luck. It's been great having you on this podcast. It's been great fun talking to you, understanding where you've coming from and where you're going. And we hope maybe these races see it beyond the 10 years and you do find the energy to keep them going. But it's been excellent having you on. You're a great representation for ordinary people doing extraordinary things in sport, and we really, really wish you all the best and success in the future.
Top man, thank you very much, boys, for having me on. It was absolutely a pleasure.
And that's it for this week's episode of the Any Given Monday podcast. Myself, Seán, and Eric. Take care.